Oh, that's what we said. She said, am I held by a letter to speak at this court? My proper answer is in written form. Like, is there a law that my proper answer couldn't be in written form? Something like that. And that's pretty much all she said the whole time. And finally the judge said, well, I'm going to read it. And so he stopped and he started reading. Then I noticed as we finished, she came back by me and sat down. And the judge said, well, this is a criminal, because after she went back in her home, and the lawyer from the different court was there as well. And they was going to, well, the judge said this is a criminal charge that you could go to jail for quite some time. He was telling her that she trespassed on her property. It's like, how could you trespass on your own property? So basically they was trying to scare her. And when the judge was saying all this, he said he was going to sign the other side's order that she can't file nothing else in the court, that this was a criminal act, but this is a bankruptcy court, so how could he say this is criminal? But anyways, he said, do you have the order ready? He was asked the other side. They was like, no. He said, well, put the order before me so I can sign it. And he said, you could appeal my order at any time. And I noticed when we were sitting down, the judge kept looking at us. And when I would look back at him, he put his head back down. And I believe he was just trying to see, as Karl told us many times, he's trying to see, are you scared, are you whatever. And that's what I noticed. But she did very well. They never signed the order. They never made the decision that day. And so far as we know, there is no order. And she'll put a claim in a different court, which is the common law court, I'll say, because the bankruptcy court is not. So that's where we're at. She actually going to court tomorrow. So, and actually she met with Karl today. I couldn't make it. I was working.
What happened today was she wanted to make a claim that she was being robbed of a property. And I said, no, what you're going to make a claim is that in another court, they used a forged instrument to obtain an order. And that order is causing her harm and loss. And the forged instrument is that the representative of the bank, his name is Bob Foley, claims to be the representative of whatever the name of the financial institution was, the lender. Yeah. But there's no proof of such a affidavit from the financial institution that he's got the power of attorney to act on their behalf to collect on any damn debt. So how could there have possibly been a ruling until we could even find out, is this man even Bob Foley? Did anybody even ask to check his ID before he even was allowed to stand before this court? Not only who is this really a man named Bob Foley, but does he really have the capacity to, A, practice before a bankruptcy court, B, is he the representative, truly a representative of this financial institution? Does he have the power of attorney to act on their behalf? And who is the man that gave him that authority? We don't see it on record anywhere. Because I looked at it and I didn't see a damn thing that said this man could talk. It's like if I was saying to Aquila, I was saying to that other man, what was that man's name, her husband? Have any clue?
Bruce. It's her husband's name.
Yeah, Bruce. Okay, I just called him Bob. I said, I can't remember Bruce. I'm not doing that. And her name started with M, so I called her Mary. I said, that's Bob. So anyway, when I told Bob, I said, Bob, look at it this way. Say you owed me money. And this man, Jeff, over here, came to you one day and said, I'm here to act on behalf of Karl's, and you owe Karl $1 million, so I'm here to collect. You would say, Bob, you'd say, wait a second, Karl loaned me the money. You don't look like Karl. Well, I'm his representative. And if you don't pay me, I'm going to file this lawsuit against you, and I'm going to take you and your house and everything away from you if you don't pay Karl. Wait a second. Let me get this right. Your name is Jeff, or Bob Foley, and you're going to take everything away from me if for Karl's benefit, on Karl's behalf. Do you have anything from Karl saying that you can act in his behalf? Well, yes. Show me. Oh, that's ridiculous. That's the most. Anybody could copy and paste that off the internet. No. Get Karl up here. Get the chief executive officer. Get the man who runs Karl Lentz. Get Karl Lentz. Get somebody up here in this court to swear that you could act on his behalf. I'm not playing this paper game nonsense. And you're not going to say, well, the judge could call up the bank. No, the judge is going to call up your secretary or your sister who's saying, yes, this is the Financial Institute hotline. How could I help you? Now, I'm not playing this game. You're going to get a man before this court. If this property is worth that much money, if this debt is worth $1 million-something, which is like $1.4 million, I think the man is willing to take an airplane trip over here and prove and say, hey, I want all that money and I want it now. I'm sure he'll come over and he'll be able to prove that by your failure to pay the debt, he's incurred a loss. I'm sure he'll open up his books and say, hey, look, the $1.4 million, since she didn't pay that, this is what happened. This happened, I lost my house. This guy lost his job. This guy went out of business. He's not going to be able to prove a damn thing happened because that guy has gotten, if that financial institution, which is the 58th financial institution that bought that note, probably paid 10 cents for that note. So they can't prove that, that they've been harmed, injured, or accrued a loss due to her actions or inactions because they don't have anything into that note. They never lent her a dime to build that house. And then the other thing that she did, luckily she got the loan for a construction loan. And she asked the bank to give her like $1 million. And before they gave her all the money, they went bankrupt or they went out of business. So she only got like, say, $900,000 and she could prove it. And the agreement is that she has to get the full amount to do the improvements on the property. And once they agreed that that's all the money that's needed, and after, the second clause was after the completion of the improvements have been finalized, and after the payments go back to the original lender, then the note will be null and void. So I don't know what you're telling her because you weren't reading it correctly, but that's the three clauses that must happen. I said, now, are there anything that happened, those three steps, obviously you didn't pay. So clause 3, that's on you. But did they not give you every single dime that you requested of them? You said, yes, they only gave us $900, we wanted $1 million. I said, oh, really? You got proof of that? She said, absolutely. Because when we went for the rest of the money to finish the project, they didn't come up with the rest of the money. I said, oh, that's great. I said, that's basically saying, I'm putting an analogy of this, that you wanted a shrimp boat. You wanted to go shrimping. And they gave you 90% of the boat, but they forgot the propeller. And how could I pay them back the money for shrimping on a shrimp boat when they forget, like, the most important part, but it's not very expensive, but it is kind of expensive. You can't get the money, the propeller. So how could I pay you back until the project is finalized? We would have finished the project, sold the house, and paid back the bank. That's what we were planning on doing. But since they dropped the ball and we couldn't finish the project, we couldn't sell the house on time, we fell behind because their breach of the contract. I don't know if you read that part of the contract with her, but I'm sure you did. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. I don't know how much of that stuff you read with her. I don't know. But that's just another angle you can work at her with, all right? Mm-hmm. They breached the agreement at the beginning. That's why it snowballed into the situation it is today, because of their breach of the contract, not yours. You couldn't pay back the debt because they didn't meet clause 1. All the money for the project must be paid up first. They didn't finish paying. But they said, we got involved in the project and they didn't finish giving us the money. It's simple. So, like whatever I said on Angela's show, just download it and listen to it again and see if you figure it, And,
okay,
and don't let her put in a claim for robbery. That's ridiculous. Okay, nobody walked off with her house. Okay, then just because the U.S. Marshals guided her out of her home, they didn't trespass. Okay, they were just, she was she was one of the parties to the case, and since she was a party to the case, she had to accept the terms and conditions of the ruling, which meant the U.S. Marshals coming and picking you up. And the only other thing you could work with, the only ruling they have in the bankruptcy court is against her husband, but her husband and her are two separate entities. She has got the deed to the land, and he added onto the deed later on, but nowhere does his name appear on the construction loan. So you can work that angle too.